So we're going to go ahead and open up Sun Properties. This is in the Access Level 1 Chapter 4 folder. We're just going to double click and that should launch Access and open up the database file. We're going to enable the content. And then they would like us to go into Design View and take a look at what's set up for the Properties table. So I'm just going to right click and select Design View. And kind of how Design View works is you've got the field names up on top, and this is where you also select the data types, and you can enter a description. And then for the selected field, so whatever field the cursor shows in, when you look at the bottom, you can see the properties for that field. And this bottom section is called the Field Properties section. And you can customize basically how that field works. So you can specify the field size. For numbers in various types of fields, you can specify formats. For things like zip code and phone number, you can actually create an input mask. And the input mask typically will have parentheses or dashes in it, and it just makes entering data a little easier. You can enter captions here. You can enter default values, and then you can do validation rules and validation text. The rules limit what you can enter in a particular field, and the validation text will display if the rule is violated. So basically, if it's a number field, and you say that they can't enter a number greater than 10, and they try to enter the number 20, the validation text will display and it'll tell them, hey, you have to enter a number less than 10. Okay, so we are going to be working quite a bit in this chapter, in this particular view, and we are going to be modifying the field properties. And this view is designed to deal with the table structure. And the table structure is the fields. So that is really all this view is used for. And it is the easiest and best way to basically create a table and modify the fields that are in the table. So what they want us to do is, we'll close out of here. We are going to go into Create, and we're going to do a table in Design View. Now you can go directly into Design View, or you can click on the Table button and then switch over to View. Now, if you go into Table first and you switch to View, you are going to have to give it a name right away. Otherwise, if you create directly in Design View, you can wait until you enter all the fields and name it later. Okay? Because we went into Datasheet first, this is kind of how it's done. And for the first field, we do not want ID. We want renter ID. And then to get over to data type, we're going to press Tab. And instead of auto number, they want short text. Now you can click the arrow and select short text. But what I normally do is I just type the letter S, because S will enter short text for me, and then I don't have to use the mouse. So it's just a lot faster to type that first letter. Then we're going to press Tab again. And let's see what they would like us to do. At this point, they want us to change the field size. So we're going to come down here. They want 3. Then we're in the description up here. And what they would like is enter 3-digit renter identification number. Okay, and then I'm going to press Tab. That takes me down to my next field. And for the next one, it is first name. And short text is the default, and that is what I want. So I'm just going to press Tab to get over to my description. And that is enter renter's first name. And at this point, they would like me to change the size to 20. And then we'll press Tab. Whoops, go back up here. We're going to do last name. That is also short text. And they want a field size of 30 on this one. And then for the description, it's enter renter's last name. Now, I think some of these descriptions are silly. When I create my own database, I really only put descriptions in there if it's something that people may not know. I mean, obviously, in a first name and last name field in a renter table, you'd be entering the renter's first and last name. So to me, the descriptions are silly, but we're going to go ahead and follow along. And so what we're going to be doing is finishing off this table. And how I do this normally, what I think is fastest, is to go ahead and enter all of the field information at the top, and then I'll click on individual fields and adjust the properties after I've entered all of the field information. And you'll all probably find, you know, a technique that works best for you. I'm going to follow this procedure because it is how I can enter these the quickest. And all I'm doing is pressing Tab to go from one entry area to the other. So now I'm in the data type for lease begin date, and this is not short text. So I'm just going to type a D for date, press Tab, put in the little description. Again, lease end date, I'm entering a D for date. Okay, and at this point, I have all of my fields, data types, and descriptions. So now I'm going to go back up and change some of the properties. So for property ID, click on that. They want a size of 4. And the reason you change field size for these text fields is partly to ensure that the data is accurate, because when you say the field size is 4, it's not going to let you enter more than 4 characters. For employee ID, the field size is going to be 5. And for credit score, the field size is going to be 3. So basically, I'm just clicking the field and adjusting the size. And at this point, we have the table structure defined. Renter ID is our key. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So it'll save those changes. And then we're going to go back over to Datasheet View. So I'm going to click on the View button. Okay, not the arrow. I'm just going to click the button itself because this button will toggle you between Design View and Datasheet View. Okay, the menu displays other choices, but if you just click on the button, you can kind of go back and forth. And at this point, we're going to be entering some records. And then we're going to adjust the column widths. And it says automatically adjust, which basically means you're going to use the best fit technique. So at this point, I'm going to enter a couple of them and do the best fit just so you can kind of see how that's done. But I'm going to turn off the video before I enter all of them, because you certainly don't need to see me enter all of these records because there are quite a few. And all I'm doing is pressing tab between. Whoops. See, and that's why we have those controls in place. I can see I messed up. Let me get rid of Perez there. Okay. And I am going to enter all the rest. You just don't need to watch. What I'm going to do now and what you're going to do after you have all the records entered is you're going to come up here on the line between your fields. And I would go above the arrow because that arrow kind of gets in your way. It's kind of above that. And when you see that double headed arrow, you're going to double click. So when it refers to automatically adjusting the widths, that's pretty much how you have to do it. Okay? And then once you automatically adjust the widths, you do need to save.